All
Mike
right.
Snyder. What is up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. So, before we dive into our topic for the day, go ahead and introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. Name's Mike Snyder. I currently live in Pittsburgh area, south of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Steelers fan. Yeah, no, I'm a coach with Unrivaled over here, along with Mikey, and I am a also a licensed physical therapist assistant. But I kind of integrated my life with like fitness and my job, like physical therapy, and kind of combined it as one. And I am a what you call it? I'm a beer enthusiast. I like my craft beers,
That'll be
especially
good
in the
for
off
today's
season.
topic too.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah. I do. I every now and then. I'm not crazy about it by any means, but definitely balance, right? But yeah, I'm a sports. I love my sports, man. Basketball's where it's at, and most importantly, I'm a husband, soon to be father. And yeah, I live my life with my wife here, and we love it. So definitely that's a little synopsis of me. I got a little bit of a competition background, maybe not as heavily decorated as some of our coaches there, but I competed back in 2019 in men's physique. Um, did okay. Got second in my class, but I definitely brought the shreds. A little bit, maybe too much.
Why did they
uh,
dock you for being too lean?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. The judges are like, yeah, you maybe came in a little bit too lean for the division, too lean for the division. But
It's always a good
I,
thing though, like kind of when it's
yeah,
like a little badge of honor when they say that you know what,
yeah,
you're too shredded for this division.
yes, yes, most definitely. It was good to hear because I wanted to go like bring that, and it was very like reassuring that hey, I brought that at least. Maybe somewhere else would have done really well, but yeah, nonetheless, I like I see like these people like, oh, I'll compete one time and start coaching. Like, whereas like I kind of been helping people do it prior to all of that stuff, even on like family members, friends in the gym. Like I was doing that way before I was coaching. Even just wasn't I guess the word I'm looking for is it wasn't like necessarily gaining anything monetarily. So, um, yeah, yeah, definitely I definitely like to intermingle my two passions there, and one of my few passions, but it's I've always had the athlete in me, so it's definitely been fueler, especially after because I played college basketball, played like all this like the high school level too, and it just always bodybuilding and everything else and fitness itself gave me that competitive drive afterwards to keep going for the rest of my life. So
It's I find that a lot of coaches, at least coaches that last longer, they all typically start, I mean, they're all different, but they all typically start in the same kind of general spot, which is, hey, I was just doing this stuff for free because I like doing it. I was helping people, I enjoyed helping people. And then from there, it parlayed accidentally into a career. I think
yeah,
like the more like grifter types or the people that, like you said, did a show. Oh, I'm a coach. It's like the fitness meme. Did one show, and now I'm a coach. I think those are the people that they don't really last too long because if it's all monetary, if that's your motive,
right.
then you're not in it for the right reasons. Where if you're in it for the right reasons, you typically started off, hey, let me just help this random person at the gym
Yeah,
for
exactly.
nothing.
Right. Exactly. And I still like, I have family members I still help that I help for free from the very start. Like it's
Ooh,
like
that's
just
risky working with family too.
it is it is. But
That's like
it
working with friends and family when it comes to, because like the shelf life is, it's not like I'll just take like my family business for example. Like if you go install some windows or an awning or something like home improvement, you do the job and then the job is done unless something goes wrong. But with fitness it's like there's no real end, so like
Mhm.
you know, and it's not for every, like, this is, it takes discipline, and it takes just sticking to it, and making it a lifestyle. So when you
Right.
work with friends and family, like, it's risky. I remember, like, when I first started coaching, I would always work, want to work with friends and family and everything like that. And then the more I did it, I was like, how serious are you? Like, and they started asking you, like, hey, can you do, like, mom, I already told you I'm not doing your
Mom.
macros.
No, yeah, it's great. It's crazy, but I definitely like. I think like when I first started, just I was like, I'm just gonna help people for free, and I was doing stuff between my job, between like free hours with patients, and just I enjoyed it so much. Like it almost became like an addiction. I was just like typing up Google Docs, sending them out through sheets and sending them to people, sending them help, sending them advice. But yeah, when that kind of like, I still have like, I don't know, like a few family members that I've been helping for like 5 years, 6 years, and they've gotten great results, which is awesome. I'm very fortunate that they've kind of continued to pursue it and just keep those habits in place, and seeing it translate over into like promoting a healthier lifestyle for like my nieces and nephews and stuff too is just like, oh man, it's paid
that's
dividend. I mean, I
that's
think it's a
awesome. So
good
they stuck with
influence.
it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And definitely
That's very cool.
it's definitely hard to come by. Not all, I mean, of course there's people who are gonna, like, hey, not this time of life, I don't know, maybe it is something for me, and I totally understand it. And but yeah, it's definitely just yeah, ultimately you're right. It's just helping people, right? I mean, that's the reason I got into my physical therapy job, wanted to help people. So that's all the purpose driven behind it, and I absolutely love it. But
How
yeah,
so how far, by the way, congratulations,
thank you.
having a baby. That's a huge
Yeah,
deal. I've
thank you.
not got to wish you congratulations in person.
Thank you.
So how far along is she?
So we're getting right to the halfway mark next week, not this coming one, but the following. So we'll be halfway there, and it's crazy. Like I just felt like it was yesterday when she told me. I was like, she like called me
Are
in the
you
back of the
excited, or are
house.
you nervous, or are you, but what, was it planned? Like, what's the, how did, what's the mindset right now?
So it was planned. We were definitely hoping, and but yeah, it was like kind of we were excited, nervous, excited, all the emotions. But we're definitely big planners, so like we wanted to find out the gender, we wanted to know basically everything, and everyone keeps like asking. Well, we even have a name picked out, but we haven't told anyone yet.
Do you?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but we're
It's
having a
funny,
baby
like all the
boy, and
like little like some people like having everything's got to be a surprise. The gender's got to be a surprise. The announcement's got to be everything's got to be a big whatever. And then some people are like, whatever. Like,
yeah, we're big planners. So, like we like I mean, obviously having a baby in itself is a surprise, like a miracle of life, right? But it's just like having like at least, you know, it's already an overwhelming process. I don't think you want to be, I mean, just opinion personally and relative for my wife and I, but you don't want to be super overwhelmed, right? Like it's already you're gonna be overwhelmed enough. But yeah, we're excited nonetheless. So we're
do your
baby
friends
boy and
have
doing lunch, so
yeah, babe, boy. So do your friends have kids? Or are you gonna be like the first one to have a
so
kid, or what?
split down the middle. It's like we have half my friend group. They're all like still single, and everything. And then we have the other half that's like just started having kids. More on my wife's side, they have a lot of friends. She has a lot of friends that have kids, and we're kind of like we're in the crossfire of hey. Do you want to go to the casino after the game, or do you want to? Hey, you want to? I think let's go home and just have a couple of drinks and finish the night and enjoy the night. Have a nice midnight snack, go to bed. You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah,
it's split down the middle right now. So I was just having that conversation with my wife last night at dinner, and it's just crazy to see it. But yeah, it's kind of split down the middle.
it's so what I gather, because I'm the only, yeah, I'm the only, not the only one. There's like two of us out of my like core friend group, uh, and family. I have a brother, and I'm the only one who does not have children, and so I get to kind of see and view. everyone and their lack
Yeah.
of sleep and and live the experience through them. And they all they all really they say it's amazing, they say it's great, they're like, you just don't sleep.
No, that's what I've heard. And I've kind of like, we kind of segued into, not that having a kid's the same as having a dog per se, but we just got a dog not long ago. Mac, he's a baby Shih Tzu, but he literally he's on my gym schedule Monday, like throughout the week. So like I get up and I work out in the morning before I start my day, and and he gets up like this morning, he got up like 6. I'm like, dude, he's like just like set routine. So it's like I'm already getting used to not having a lot of sleep. I'm sure that's about to go down even farther, but I mean, it's I mean, it'll all be good. It's just I'm preparing
having a
myself.
Having a son though, dude, that's jackpot. You just got free labor for life, man. They're gonna be able to
Yeah,
help you with all the
all
yard
the
work,
projects.
all the grunt work, like all
Yep.
the that's that's what I was telling like my brother. My brother just had a so my nephew he's about to be 6 months. And so
Oh wow.
it's been super interesting to say the least, like going over there. He lives in Illinois, which is it's like maybe like a good hour from where I'm at in Indiana.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I go over there about once a week and just look at him, touch him, say hey, like have him like look at me. He's starting to recognize me. So what
Oh.
my goal with him is whenever I walk into the room, I just want him to just be like, oh yeah, it's go time. Like we're having fun. Like so he's starting to like laugh and like so when I see him, he's just kind of starting to laugh a little bit. And so like I just want to make sure that he knows, he recognizes me. And then as he turns into a toddler, every time I show up, he's excited. So I'm gonna be like the best uncle ever.
Yeah,
I'm
the
having a
fun
good time
uncle,
with it.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, that's the best. My sister had kids when I was like super young, and I was probably like a junior in high school. And yeah, just like going in there and just playing like having the fun uncle status, like dude, that's the best. Like you got a good position in that
And then I
family.
don't have to take any of the responsibility. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, I don't have to do any of the grunt work on this end here.
So okay, so I think the fact that you because you went out last night, right? You went to a game, you went out. Did you have any drinks? Did you do anything? You live a very social life. So I think that's going to lend itself very good to our overall theme for today's podcast. The theme for today is and I kind of told you like I tend to like to do lists. I tend to break things down into little games. I don't know. Anything that I do, even if it's like get together with friends or we're eating dessert or food or whatever, kind of like make a little game out of it. So I broke things down into a little bit of a list today, and it's going to
Sure.
be 5 different ways that lifestyle or training for the general population is different than a competitive athlete, like a physique athlete, really. And that's pretty much the context we'll be, talking about in like a bodybuilding context. So I think that your lifestyle is going to lend itself for some really good examples and some good relatability in the topic, because going out having drink, that's what most people do on the weekends. So
Right.
I can start off, or actually, you're the guest. So I'm gonna have the guests go first
Sure.
whenever I do these lists. It's just I think fair. So
Yeah, for sure, man.
I came up with 5 different ways, and I'd like to hear your first way that you think general pop is different than, or let me rephrase that. So how training for lifestyle is different than training for bodybuilding.
Yeah. So definitely the more so along the lines of what I like to differentiate between the two is that, we have more of there's more of a structure in place with competitor versus someone who's, just looking to improve their lifestyle into a more healthy manner. Like I'm going in with the mindset, if I'm like, whether it's myself or, working with a competitor, is like, okay, well, let's get some progression in there. Let's see how we can progress over time with this. And really dial in certain movements to bring up weak body parts, things of that manner. Really kind of dive in that way. More specialization focused. Like it's just like, all right, what are we looking to, bring out in their strong points and everything. Whereas a general population client, I'm looking at, maybe we're doing some a general otherwise, get them moving, get them in a, get them doing movements that, may not, that feel good to them, that really help bring up their confidence, like in things, not necessarily, there's not set like progressions that I'm looking for them to hit at the end of like that training cycle or what it may be. There's
So
just a lot more structure.
you would say train your approach to training overall, your approach to training would be different with Gen Pop, just say someone that wants to get in shape, feel a little bit better, feel healthier, maybe lose a couple pounds versus like someone that wants to step on stage.
To a degree, yes and no. Like there's sometimes though where like there is some carryover that if I have a guy who is like, man, I would like to look like that guy on, one of your testimonials or whatever, and he's like standing on the stage, right? Or it's
He
like look
sends
like what
you
you were doing.
like freaking Ronnie. I want to look. I know it's not realistic, but in 6 months, I want to look like Ronnie Coleman or something in his
Yeah,
prime or
right.
something. Like, you ever get that? Like, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, um, insert top level influencer in progress photo, and you're just like, you know, like it's so obvious to the trained, I guess, to the experienced eye as to like how a physique like that comes to be. But if you're just getting into it and you think it's kind of like back in the day when I used to pick up the magazine and I'm like, damn, if I just train hard enough, eat
No, look,
two
yeah.
meals or eat a meal every 2 hours consisting of chicken breast and sweet potato and broccoli, and I do that consistent enough for long enough, I'll look like, Jay Cutler or whatever.
Yeah.
Just trying to think of like a guy that was on the magazine back then.
Right. Or like
And
Steve Cook
then
or yeah.
that doesn't happen.
No, yeah, no, exactly. It's like the amount of work. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I would be if I had $1 for every time I spoke with someone who might have been interested in trying to get in shape, and they sent me like a picture of, I know, Chris Elkins. Like, man, like I'll get like a picture of him or a picture of Christian Guzman. I'm like so my goal from there is like, I don't want to necessarily shut him down, right? I mean, but like at the same time, it's like get him more thinking like, hey, let's look like the best version that you can bring out, right? Like it's not more so. It's just like, I don't know, just realistic expectations and
Yeah. Even so, it's like, even if you, because that's like doing every single thing that you can possibly do, from your sleep to your training to your, to everything outside of genetics, and
right,
then doing it for like 15 years straight, you know, weighing your food, just the level, and then as long as your genetics cooperate, you can still maybe not look that good, but you can look like the best version of you.
right,
Whereas, you know, which is not like for someone who is life, I'm not looking to look like a bodybuilder, but I want to look like the influencer. And you're like, well, that is a bodybuilder.
that's a bodybuilder. Yeah,
They just, they're not competing, or maybe they are competing,
right.
so.
Yeah, there's a lot of carryover. I feel I try not to differentiate it to like not necessarily treat them the same, but not. I like to integrate it more because it's just like at the end of the day, I think Mark Lobliner said this. I was like, at the end of the day, it's like everyone's into bodybuilding in some aspect, whether it's fitness, whether it's contest prep, or whether it's that's all they're all divisions of like bodybuilding. It's so I don't know. I try to make it as integratable with lifestyle, like with a fitness lifestyle as I can, because there's just so much what's the word I'm looking for? Crossover. There's a lot of crossover in terms of the principles of how you approach it. So yeah, it's just it's that's kind of how I view it in a general sense. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you know, each person is just willing to commit so much energy and time and just even thought to progression in the gym. Some people just want to go into the gym because I have on their training is my number two. I don't have these in any order, so I'll just,
Yeah.
you know, kind of piggyback, which I figured ours would pretty much align in the same way. So
Yeah.
I'll even say like with the training, like things like tracking your weights, pushing yourself, because even tracking your weights, like that's a pain in the ass. Like tracking your weights week to week, if you're doing that consistently, and then when you're in the gym, constantly striving to get stronger, constantly, pushing yourself to failure or as close to failure as you can get, incorporating like high intensity techniques and really like training is training.
Right.
Exercise is exercise. So when I'm thinking about the general population, um, versus a bodybuilder, um, or any form of physique athlete, it does, and it age, age, sex, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're a physique athlete, training with intensity and going in there and looking at the training session as, something that needs to, it has a certain standard to it.
Right.
That is completely different than going in, oiling the machine, going through the
Hmm.
movements. Because if you look at like a set of, a lifestyle or gen pop versus, we'll just take like a set of bicep curls or whatever. Bicep curls for gen pop versus bicep curls for like a bodybuilder. There you have the same exact movement, same exact exercise, same amount of reps. It is a completely different animal
Oh
because,
yeah.
even the way that bodybuilders tend to feel things, like when they're training, you could tell like they're just feeling it in a completely different way. Form, all these things are, all the little nuances are a little bit different. So training overall is very, very different. You can even get away with like, a lot of times, because the goal of lifestyle, it's not that, there aren't lifestyle people or gen pop people that really go in there and really crush it.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm more talking like by and large, um,
Hmm.
training or exercising, it's and you can still grow, especially if like, like the stimulus is in the gym, but then, especially if they're on top of their diet, you're still gonna progress and you're still gonna grow muscle.
Right.
Um, but the way that, they approach it, and the even the mindset of like when you're in there, like, so like, uh well, we'll talk about, music, putting your music on, throwing some, you know crazy dubstep on, or something that's going to really put you in the headspace to do like a set of, crazy lat pull downs, or a set of rows, or squats, or whatever. And you just know, like, when you hit play, you're almost ready to just like scream, right?
Right.
So like even things like that, like intensity cues and just ways of hyping yourself up for just a crazy set is completely different. You don't see that a lot in like gen pop or lifestyle.
No, yeah, and you can even see too, like the differences, like someone finishing a set of hack squats. It's like, man, like the knees, like I just like you could just see the quivering of the muscle, like the quads, and it's like, okay, they're taking it there. You know what I mean? Like I finish in the hole. I think more times often than not to sound extreme or anything, but like I finish. Like I'm trying my last couple reps, like if they're extremely slow down or I'm like at the bottom of the hack squat, I know like I'm reaching my intensity like that I want to be at. And I think yeah, you're definitely right. Like the intensity you have to match with when it comes to competing is way far more different than it is if you're just going in just to
Yeah.
improve your fitness. Like oh, it makes me anxious thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you have legs today?
No, I had him on yesterday, but that's exactly how I felt. Like today, I feel it, but my
And
recovery's a
then
little off. But
also like even like training, like training when you're in a calorie surplus versus training when you're in a deficit. Like sometimes this happens to me almost every prep. So about midway through prep, I'm like, God, I hate like training sucks. Like training sucks. It is so hard. You're just so low of energy, and it's just so incredibly difficult
yeah,
to just go in there and train. Because it's not like you have to. It's not like you're dialing back on your intensity during prep.
no,
That's the
no,
time you gotta you gotta really push yourself. So training, I always forget what that's like until I'm reverse dieting out of my prep and I put some body fat on and I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking forward to going to the gym. Like that's where like your rest days, you're like, sometimes it's hard for me to take a rest day because I'm like, I want to keep
yeah,
training. Like I'm ready to go. Like I know I need to take a rest day because I've trained for 5 days in a row, but
right.
I need to rest. It's not like that when you're in prep. Like in prep, you're just like, it's brutal. Like it's like going to war.
You literally don't know until you like experience it, like the fatigue. I think that's the worst part. I can deal with hunger. I can deal with, I can deal with some of those aspects for sure, but the fatigue, just the constant fatigue, and then you put training on top of that. It's like most of your energy devotes to is going towards that session. And it's like, oh,
The
it makes
fatigue is
you,
a weird, like, it's a fatigue that it's hard to, unless you've gone through it, it's really hard to explain because it's one of those things where it's like you could feel your body like conserving energy. Like it's
yeah,
trying so hard. Like you'll be in the shower and you'll just be like, just this hurts. I'm just taking a shower and I'm just sitting
yeah.
here with the water and just that hurts. Like it's just being awake right now hurts.
Yeah, it really does. And I remember sitting on a bleachers. I think I was watching like maybe my brother-in-law's soccer game. I'm sitting on the bleachers and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, I literally, my butt hurts so bad and I'm just so tired. Like I could fall asleep sitting here, but I'm gonna wake right back up and just want to go back to bed. It's like this, it's an indescribable feeling.
Someone's like, man, what's going on with that guy on the bleachers right now?
Yeah,
He's rubbing his butt.
he looks hungry and tired.
Someone go give that guy a donut. What is that
Yeah.
guy's? And then the whole ironic thing about the whole thing is the only thing that can make you feel better is the one thing that's going to make you look bad on show day.
And that's that keeps you going is like, well, it's like, well, I think this is a necessary part of it, and I don't mean to make it sound terrible, but like, competing is a super rewarding experience. But just like painting that picture of what it feels like is just like an indescribable feeling, man. It's
Ignoring
man,
those, not ignoring those signals, but pushing past those signals, like the hunger. Like you said, I could deal with the hunger. Well, dude, most people can't deal with the hunger. Like
no,
that is like most people have a very, very hard time with all of that. So like pushing past, not even just acknowledging it and, um, you know, moving past them, these signals and dealing with these signals. That's like, I'm convinced that's a skill. Like you get better at it as time goes on, the more preps you do,
Right.
that it doesn't get, I don't think it gets easier. Nothing really ever, as a human being, starving never really gets easier because that's what
No.
you're doing. You're
Yeah.
methodically starving yourself in a way that you maintain your muscle mass and lose body fat, but you're just, I mean, you're starving yourself. And
Right.
so
Right.
that doesn't get easier, but you become better at just this is the deal. I know going in. And I'm, with that, when you go through it for the first time, that's always like, what is happening? Like, what you don't see. I tend to have these tendencies that let me know what stage I'm at in my prep. I even have certain foods that I know, oh, okay, this food's incorporated. That means I'm at this stage. Oh, I'm doing this pattern with my food. I'm at this stage. So, because there's all these like weird things that you don't know. Like, I'll give you an example. During prep, at about 2/3 of the way through, this is unconscious, by the way. I do not do this on purpose.
Yeah.
I start pushing my food, all my food to one side of the plate, or like let's say I'm eating like a bowl of Halo Top with like protein, like a little protein ice cream. I'll push all the food to the back of the plate and start taking away from the food little bit by little bit. I don't do that in the off season, mid off season. I don't do that. I just eat like a normal person. But during prep and when I'm about 2/3 of the way through, that starts happening, and I've become
Mhm.
like real hyper. Where I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm doing this pattern. That means I'm around this stage. Oh, okay, we're on track.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. No, I definitely I fell into that category before. I think oats is a big one. Like so I actually did like mock preps before I did my actual prep just on myself. Like before I
Sure.
even worked with Austin even that we I actually ran myself like to like 4 or 5 pounds over stage weight and I got there. It was definitely it wasn't easy by any means. But man, some things I can tell from just doing those and that, and even my actual like prep I went through with is like oats, man. I
What
would
about oats? I'm curious
uh
because I get really interested. Austin and I were talking about like some of the weird things we do with food, and I get really this part I get really interested in because I like all that weird stuff. See, like anytime I show something that I do with like food, whether it's like drinking egg whites if I need some additional
yeah,
protein or whatever, like people
I
are
did
like
see that.
they can't believe. I'm like, I thought this was normal. So or
Yeah.
just like so I always get intrigued by some of the weird stuff and the like just the quirky stuff or the creative stuff that people do with food. So I'm interested in hearing your story about what you do with
Well,
oats.
I haven't done it in a while. Like ran through two like cutting phases since then. I'm intentionally trying not to do it. But what I would do is I would fill the bowl up with oats, fill it up with water, get them cooked, go put them with more water. So like this bowl turns from like this much to like this much. Like eventually volumize the heck out of it, right? And Splenda and cinnamon, just like not like crazy. I'm like I honestly was I try to stay on my rule of like four. And like if I go past four in the day, I know something's wrong. But it put
For
throw a couple
what?
things
You try to go past for what?
like packets of Splenda. I just try to
Oh,
like just
oh.
not
Okay.
that it's like
Okay. Gotcha.
inherently bad, but just yeah. Um, but yeah, I would do that. And one thing every now and then I still like not still do it. There's things like cinnamon toast, man. I would take like low calorie bread and I still like throw a little bit of cinnamon on it. Just I love using cinnamon. Um, in Splenda on toast and make it like a cinnamon bread and like make it like you're having some type of dessert. Oh, dude, it's honestly it tastes good, and I'll just use higher calorie bread in the off season. But like I think that's something that I still like mess with from time to time. It's just when during a dieting phase, man, it gets bad.
What's the like weirdest thing you've made, or like the or like the just the oddest concoction that you've made with cinnamon or cinnamon toast or Splenda
Oh,
packets, or like what's
I would
something like kooky that you've done with it,
I would
or a
have
time
to.
where you've went just overboard with it.
Oh, the time I went overboard with it, I would save like a little bit of calories to like put like there was even lower calorie bread than this. It was like 35 calorie bread. It tastes awful. I think it tastes awful now.
Is it the Healthy
And
Life or the Sara
no,
Lee?
it's like the Sara Lee, but it's nickels. It was
Like
nickels.
16 carbs per like 2 slices of bread, like high fiber, like 5 grams of fiber. Yeah.
I was at a point where I was eating like 8 or 9 slices, and I was like, dude, this is great. I'm like so many bites. Oh, I love it. And then yeah, between that and I think more of the oats is the early days. I tried stepping away from that because it got to the point where I'm like, all right, bro. I'm like, it's taking you like 25 minutes to make this bowl of oats. This is like too time consuming. But I yeah, that was probably I'm a breadaholic.
My name is Mike, and I'm a breadaholic.
I'm a
You're like, dude,
breadaholic.
get the fuck out of here. What are you talking? Yeah, no, you have ever seen Happy? You ever suck dick for some bread? Isn't that Bob Saget who's that?
I
Yeah,
think.
he's like,
Oh,
yeah,
I think so. That is funny.
because he said that he's addicted to weed. um, no, dude, that is so funny because also during prep, and we'll get into like the nutrition side of things. But during prep, you do spend more time just making stuff taste good. Like you end up because in the off season you just don't care. Like you're just
Yeah,
like protein shake in the morning, dump that into some cereal, get it in, get done,
good to go.
good to go. But in you will wake up a little bit earlier because you just wake up earlier anyways during prep, and you will spend time making whatever your breakfast of your prep breakfast of choices.
Yes,
That bread, and they load it up with fiber too,
they
so
do. They do. It's
you're
like
getting
4 or
like
5
30
grams.
grams of fiber in like you know
Oh,
your
it's
first meal of the day.
yeah,
Because I used to make
terrible.
French toast with that stuff.
Oh,
Like,
really?
and I would use that bread, and then I would use Walden's Farm syrup. I used to like use that stuff irresponsibly in my
Like half the
first
bottle.
prep. Yeah, like where you're like, you know, get calorie free, even though it's not calorie free.
Right,
They could
right.
just label it calorie free. But yeah, I would used to really load up. That 4 packets a day is that. I mean, it's good to monitor. One thing I tend to do during my preps is things that I'm guilty of like losing control of is caffeine.
Hmm.
Caffeine, it because I'm a high stim guy anyway. Like I've always had a high tolerance for things. Like I just have a high tolerance for stuff.
Yeah,
For things to even things like training volume. I train high volume. Like my body can handle a lot of whatever.
right.
I need a lot of sleep. Like that's another thing. Like I need 8 to 10 hours of sleep to
Needs to
feel,
balance out. Yeah.
yeah, just to feel, just my body responds to like it needs a lot of things to get the desired effects is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah.
And so caffeine, I mean, I could take down, 6, 8. It's not a problem. So I have
Yeah.
to really watch it and make sure, because a lot of times I find that I'm drinking caffeine. I'm not really drinking it for the caffeine. I'm drinking it for the experience. Like,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
I could be like, whether there's 300 milligrams of caffeine or 80 milligrams of caffeine, I'm going to feel the same way.
Right.
It's more about the pure experience of sipping something and knowing that something is going to give me energy.
Exactly. Oh, dude, white monsters are like that. I don't know if you like monsters at all, but
I I started on white mon. To me, this might be unpopular opinion because I started drinking monsters. That was like the first energy drink I started with. I find monsters to be overrated. I
yeah.
really do. I don't think they taste that good. Like the white one tastes like citrus, and I don't like citrus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It used to taste something, and then once I got citrus in my mind, because I used to like the white monster, and then once I got citrus in my mind, I was like, this just tastes like citrus.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a fan of citrus.
Do you do coffee then? Are you a big coffee guy then? Oh yeah, yeah, you're a big coffee guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, oddly enough, I find that the caffeine from coffee, that source of caffeine, I feel that caffeine the most. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
coffee like more, the feeling I get from coffee is more, I'd say euphoric and more conducive for work than like an energy drink.
I would agree with you on that. I mean, just because the this like I know it's like synthetic caffeine for like monsters and stuff. It's not like the natural like caffeine derived from the
I
beans or
think they're
something.
different. I think they have
Yeah,
a natural one, but I think most of them are just
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
I honestly, and that's what you were saying, like when drinking for the like purpose and stuff for sure, like that kind of drives it. I know part of the caffeine that's definitely inheriting the signal, but like the I guess the taste. I do I love the citrusy taste. That's kind of like I'm like a bit of the opposite, but I used to not be on monsters. I used to be on them. Now I'm like running back to them, and I'm like, what the why? And
I can't
I think
quit you,
it's just the
baby.
taste.
You know
I
I can't
can't.
quit you.
I'm coming back. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like it's like that Kevin. What's that meme that's circulating everywhere? Like sitting there with like his hands in
Oh
his
yeah.
pockets, chugging up. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Is
You,
that you drinking a white monster again?
you know what though? The thing about it is like monsters are in that sweet spot of caffeine at like 140, aren't they 140 milligrams?
Yeah, white ones are 140. Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
I think
so
one or
like
160. One of the two. I
what is
can't
it
remember.
140, 160? So like
Yeah.
a lot of times, like if you get like a ghost, they're 200.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't want 200 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah.
A,
Yeah.
or bang, like 300 milligrams. Like sometimes I just don't. So sometimes the only thing to get is like a monster, and because I do like the amount of caffeine that's
Yeah.
in monster energy drinks, whereas like I think like a Zoa is like 120, and I don't like those like small
Monster
little,
cans.
the small can, like those Zoa, like small thin ones. I don't know how
Oh,
many ounces of liquid are in those versus how many ounces of liquid are whatever. We both like caffeine.
yeah. We love it. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
It's good. Yeah. And you know what? You gotta have one. I don't trust anybody that doesn't have one vice. Like you told me that you like drinking beer and wine. Like I'm like, you have to have one vice, at least one vice. Like nobody in this world doesn't have something that you know they they like. That's like, I need some form of like, not, it's not bad. It's just like
Right.
not necessarily healthy, right?
Exactly.
You
Yes.
got
Yeah.
to have something.
Yes, there's got to be like some like even if it's like as as harmless as video games or something. There's got to be something that gets your fix outside of fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't trust
Yeah,
anyone that says they don't have nothing. If you don't have anything, that means you have the most amount of skeletons in your closet.
yeah. There's something. Yeah, there's something really deep
That
behind
means they got
it.
something really weird in there. But okay, so really, so training, that's obviously a big one for competition and Gen Pop. So nutrition. So let's talk about the difference in nutrition. So some things that stand out to me when I think about like Gen Pop versus bodybuilding, or any physique. Whenever I say bodybuilding, I'm referring to bikini, I'm referring to figure, I'm referring to bodybuilding, classic physique. I'm just kind of saying bodybuilding instead of physique athlete. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm referring to. But so things like counting your macros, making sure you're hitting your macros to the gram,
Right.
um, weighing your food,
Mhm.
weighing your food, condiments, powders. Sometimes when I think when people um, you know hear about weighing your food, they just think like once in a while or what. I'm talking about weighing your supplements,
Everything.
weighing everything. If it goes in your body other
It's
than
counted
water,
for.
it's counted for on that food scale.
Hmm.
Macros opposed to like where I think about Gen Pop, they might have a calorie goal. They
Right.
might aim for a certain protein. Now, some Gen Pop people are open for counting their macros. I guess the way to approach that, it's like, what are you going to be able to stick to?
Right.
Whereas bodybuilding, it's like, this is what has to get done.
Like this is
Um,
it.
this is the best, because it's like if we're focused on like, okay, what is going to have me looking my best? What is going to have me
Right.
making the most amount of progress at all times? And for me personally, and this is a big thing. So like for me, it's hard. I could not imagine not weighing all my food in the off season. I live prep life year round, decade round. The only difference is I'm in a calorie surplus.
Right. Yeah. And
So and it's harder. It's difficult for me not to do that, which means it's sustainable for me to do that. I could not imagine not living this lifestyle,
lifestyle.
not tracking all of this stuff. It's yes, I'd say it takes extra time and effort, but it's seamless
Hmm.
because I um it's who I enjoy doing it. It's and it leads me to my goal, and I couldn't imagine not doing it. So it's sustainable for me. Whereas for Gen Pop, there's no way. Like that's too much. Like there has to be a lot more focus on you know things like social life or things like family or things like whatever their life entails. So there's
Right.
a big a total different level of commitment there.
There is. And honestly, I'm kind of the same way too, to a degree. I might sound like, I'm going out having these drinks, having this great food and all. And where to a degree, yeah, it's true. But like I have to I track in my off seasons too. I feel as if like I'm losing my purpose of what I want to achieve with the sport if I don't. Um so I do keep a degree of, the tracking and having estimated meals here and there for sure. But definitely it's I even if I'm out and I'm in a pinch and I have to like I'm at an event like today, we're going to a soccer game, right? And there's gonna be a tailgate. I'm gonna have some things accounted for that I know may be there.
Yeah, so
Like
let's
it's
talk about that. So like I think it
yeah,
would be
yeah.
good to like okay, so like last night, how did you handle so you went to a game last night and you're going to a game today. So
Hmm.
um how do you handle that for yourself? And then like how would Gen Pop handle that?
So honestly, if it was just like a general pop, someone that's like just going there and maybe they have fitness schools and they're like but they don't have necessarily have someone coaching them. um I think because I've been there like in the past like where I would go to this event and I would I'm trying to like drop body fat whatever my goal is, and I would just totally track something here and there, and eventually the mental, I guess the mental stamina would give out quick. So I can see that being a problem for like general population. Whereas now I go like, okay, I know these foods are probably going to have a lot of, there's going to be like a bunch of fattier meats, maybe some carb dense foods, things like that. So I think my approach is usually I like to front load like protein stuff, make sure I'm getting enough of that, whether it's from chicken or protein powders, whatever it may be, whatever I have my hands on. And just making my best judgment from there and filling in the gaps when I get home if I have to. I know yesterday we went out to eat for dinner, like I was saying. Had some there was like, man, tacos are a great option. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care what people say. Like it's easy to track. It's meat and shells and some condiments. Like so it's like, factoring in those things, eyeballing things like I got chicken tacos. But like
Yeah, so your
what
estimation becomes very
very
accurate.
like yes, like over time, of course. And what I teach with Gen Pop too is like, hey, why don't you before you go and do this, take yourself through a lot of practice runs. Like, get used to like looking at these portion sizes, seeing what it's like. So when you go out to eat, you're putting yourself to that test and you're like, hey, okay, this is what 4 ounces of cooked chicken breast look like, or they put taco seasoning in it, hidden calories that oh, I didn't think to track that. You know what I mean? Things like that. Olive oil. It's there's a lot of things to because they cook food in oil there. So it's
Yeah,
just like
those are things
practicing.
like you're so right when you say it's like a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Estimating is a skill. Like you
Oh, it
said,
is.
wait a minute, the utensils have oil on it, so I have to factor in the oil. Well, how do you know that? Well,
Yep.
because I've done it a bunch of times and I've figured out, what's what to do and what not to do and how to track. And, even when you are tracking or estimating food, even overestimating, factoring in, an extra teaspoon of olive oil or something like that, just to, you know, because the people who are preparing your food, it's not like they're like, oh, 4 ounces of nope, that's
Yep.
3.9. Okay, four.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, they're just like, boom,
Yep.
oil all over everything, and then the
Exactly.
utensils they're cooking have oil and all that stuff transfers to the plate. So you get really your eye and even your feel and even your taste. You ever like, you, you go to estimate something and you go, well,
That
take a
tastes
bite
too
and you're
good.
like, man, fuck, there goes an extra 16 grams of fat for the day. I was not planning on that. Because like you're like, damn it, like that tastes way too good. That's
Yeah.
definitely not, that's way too savory right now. So
That
and
makes,
just
oh my
even
God.
things
Yeah.
like that, like where you're on the fly factoring things in
Hmm.
just based on, you could even, after you eat something, you're like, you know what? This makes me feel like I think there's a little more or even a little less in there. So just doing it repetitions, doing it over time, just like honing in that skill is like such a huge one. Cause people, a lot of times, general population will assume that people who are really like serious about fitness or bodybuilding, that they just eat cardboard and drywall, and that's just that's not, I mean, how, I mean, if anything, it's like, we enjoy food more because to me things are a lot more enjoyable when there's no, you just don't ever feel, you don't feel guilty about it, you don't have that like, or that like really crappy feeling after you eat, like that's just doesn't really happen.
No, exactly. And it's definitely that I highly agree with that because at the end of the day, like you go out, like I get people all the time that go, you're eating that. And because they know like what background I'm coming from, like, yeah. I mean, like like I didn't think that would be a part of your plan or something. And like it's things are a lot, less harmless than
Do
you
you get a
think.
lot of
Like
comments when you go out? Do people
yeah, oh yeah.
who by who?
It's mainly social media. It's like like family, friends, like people man I worked with. Man, my one, man, shout out to my gym teacher from high school. Like he follows me on Instagram. He actually inspired me to get into the
Oh,
healthcare
that's cool.
field, which was pretty cool. But he would comment and be like, "Dude, he's like, I'm seeing you at all these breweries. Aren't you a health and fitness guy?" I'm like, "Yeah," but I'm like, it's not like I'm going there having sex. You still got to enjoy your life a little bit. Like, and I have, as the Splenda rule I was talking about, I have my rules too. Like I have like flexible restraint, right? It's I try not to go past like a few, because if I do, I know how it's going to make me feel. I know it's not a healthy habit. It's just establishing those boundaries too, but at the same time, still enjoying your life.
I think having rules is good.
I do
I
too.
think giving yourself like uh, I didn't really realize hearing you say that like I have this rule to my like I have rules to myself. They're just unspoken rules that I just give myself. Like my rule every day is like X amount of vegetables. Like I
Yep.
have to eat, and then whatever else I do around that, that's
Fill in the
fine.
gaps.
But
Yep.
my rule to myself is I eat this amount of vegetables every single day. And it's just like my
Mhm.
daily veggies, which it's hardly a rule. I mean, I like vegetables, but it just, it's a rule that I gave myself because it's something I don't want to miss. And then it's something I want to make sure that, I'm getting all the benefits of vegetables and I'm not just eating, simple carbs all day long.
Yeah.
And so that I think having like to me bodybuilding and all that stuff is like brushing your teeth. It's not even a rule. It's just it is.
It's
Like
part
that
of your
just
day.
is. Like there's
Yeah.
no I'm not gonna not go to the gym. I'm not gonna not hit my macros. It's just that it doesn't even factor in. But
Right.
just like brushing, flossing, it's just whatever. But
Yeah.
there are certain things that it's like, okay, this is my rule to myself. And you did also say something else that what was interesting is that you had protein and stuff like that, and then you said you would have your like staples when you got home like later.
Mhm.
So like to me, that's like when I think about meal prep and stuff like that, because I've worked jobs where I'm in my car all day. I've worked jobs where I'm in an office all day. So there is this like stigma about meal prep. And that meal prep is this you cook all this shit on Sunday and it's this big ordeal and blah, blah, chicken, right? Blah, all this stuff. You put it in Tupperware. I've never done that, dude. I am on the fly. I'm on the go. If I have a plane to catch, I'm packing that right before the flight, throwing shit in a bag. Like I am just not. I'm not that way. I'm a procrastinator. If I don't like something, I put it off.
Me
So
too.
I've just always been that way. It's just whatever. So meal prep to me has never been a thing. It has never been a thing. I'll throw whatever I'm having for the day in. I'll weigh that. So meal prep to me is just weighing it all. Like that's the
Yeah.
biggest part of it. So it's like even if I have a protein bar, I'm taking the protein bar out of the package, putting it on the scale, throwing it in a Ziploc, throwing it in my bag, and there's my meal prep. How hard was
Yeah.
that, right? And then
Yeah.
plugging everything into MyFitnessPal. But like I said, vegetables, that's my daily rule. And then
That's a
like
great
your
one.
home cooked stuff. So I'll wait until I get home. Like, yeah, during the day I've eaten maybe sandwich. I don't know why I said sandwich. I haven't had a sandwich in a long time, but protein bar, protein chips, oatmeal. If I'm at an office and I throw oatmeal in there, a protein shake, stuff that takes no effort, like no effort whatsoever. And then when I get home, at night, okay, that's when I'll cook up some ground beef and some vegetables and tortilla, whatever I'm having, and I'll finish my day off and finish my macros off with that, with the stuff that's takes time or cook or might stink if you leave it in a Tupperware and then you have to clean out all the stuff. So I've always been like, keep it simple and
Yes.
make life easy on yourself because it's not necessary to make it hard. It allows you to focus on whatever you're doing. And then the food is just, okay, it's already been weighed. It's already been accounted for. It's already in my food logs.
Right.
It's as simple as just grabbing it out of the bag and eating it. And like I
Take
said,
the
I've
guesswork.
done that while I'm in driving all around the state. I've done that while in an office. Office is super easy. Office
Oh yeah.
is yeah. When I was working in an office, I had a food scale at the office. So I had a food scale at the office, and then I have food scale at home. So I wouldn't even have to bring my food scale. I just kept it uh, in my desk, and then you just weigh whatever whatever you keep a bunch of food at the office. Or we had a fridge, freezer. I think my go-to meals, I was always making oatmeal with like putting chocolate chips and stuff like that on it. protein bars, like healthy choice meals where you can get
Dude,
some
healthy
really,
choice, man.
I wish they weren't so expensive, man.
I
They're
know.
so fire. They're so good. Like they're quality, which is important. You can actually get like vegetables in them.
Yeah.
For prep, they have like ones with like right cauliflower rice in them that are really good for like food volume. And they taste really, really good. And in the off season, I'd be like, I'll eat two of those bad boys at one time as one meal, but they're just so expensive.
The chicken in my prep staple was the chicken, basil, and tomato one. Like it was 180 calories. Like when macros got real low, like
Yeah,
it's like
dude, those
it
are
really
in a pinch. Those are great.
they are. And every now and then, when you like you said, you take your protein bar, throw it on the food scale. Same thing with that steamer, like the healthy choice meal. I'll throw it on the scale. I'm like, huh, the grams are a little off there, but
So
but yeah,
those are always
it's still
under
good.
though. So those
They
one thing
are.
I
They are.
those so one thing I even with those I wasn't even weighing those because I weighed them enough time to know those healthy choice meals they're always under. So for whatever
Anything,
reason
yeah,
they're
you just
yeah. And my thing with that, especially like if I'm in calorie deficit, like if it's under, then I'm okay. Like as long as it's
mhm.
not over.
Right.
So that those were it's funny because you'll have certain meals, and if you eat them enough time, okay, these are always over. These are always
Right.
under. Like
Right.
how often? So like here's another lifestyle versus, although like I kind of with my Gen Pop clients, my thing with weighing food, bodybuilding, gotta do it. You gotta do
Yep.
it. You just gotta do
Yep.
it. It's just other words, why you're just competing, you're competing for what? Like for fun? Like, or you're trying to
Exactly.
be your
Trying to do
best.
well. Yeah.
Right. So, but Gen Pop, it's like this isn't an issue until it's an issue. Right.
Hmm.
So let's ride this out, maybe introduce weighing, and I'll just pose the question straight up and be like, hey, here, here's what I think in the startup manual, like weighing food, here's the importance of it, here's what you can expect by doing it. What do you think is good for you right now? Because I'm not necessarily saying that you have to do this right now. I'm just saying that this will maximize everything. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm want to do that. They're like, I want to wait to whatever. And then once, the initial newbie gains or initial, it's really easy to stay in a calorie deficit when you first start out. And if you're overweight, especially, like you don't
Right.
have to weigh your food to be in a calorie deficit. You can eye things and you're just gonna cruise right away. But there
Right.
will come a point once you make so much progress that the little nuances and the details matter. And so
Yes.
that's, by that time you've had, a year to acclimate and to get your bearings and to learn the process and see how things go. And people tend to be blown away. I'm like, just go. I want to just show you an example. I want you to go take a piece of bread and look at the package, and the package is going to say that piece of bread weighs 28 grams. I want you to put that on your food scale. And they're like, that thing was like 42 grams. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's
like, that's
wild.
one and a half. So
Yep.
yeah. So imagine that across all your meat. Imagine
All
that
of it.
across all your food sources. Now
Hmm.
imagine that across every day. Like,
Adds up.
I've seen things add up thousands of calories.
Oh
So,
yeah. Especially
so
fat
yeah.
sources, man. Oh yeah.
What'd you
That's
say?
I said especially fat sources. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, like let me grab a scoop of peanut butter. One tablespoon. Okay. You're
it's like
like,
yeah.
holy, yeah.
It's like 5 servings. It's like
Yeah.
like ooh,
So
surplus instantly.
okay. Um, so that's nutrition. I mean, training, nutrition, those are the big ones, right? Um, what do you think about Okay, so what do you think about like time and energy? So the amount of time and energy that goes into bodybuilding and the amount of time and energy that goes into just gen pop, like fitness in general. So how would you differentiate the two there?
So I guess more so along the lines of how much like time to devote towards one thing. Like if you are a bodybuilder versus you are just trying to
Yeah.
improve your fitness. I honestly, I mean, I definitely, but bodybuilding, attention to detail is everything. So like, I think more times that I would dedicate more time in that range. Whereas you're kind of at the same time, that's more in the short term, I guess. But in like the grand scheme of things, as a lifestyle person, like someone just trying to improve their life through healthier habits and lifestyle, I think that would more so along the lines be a more longer term, not as much effort in the short term, but just thinking more long term in terms of what you need to do. I don't know if that helps at all, but if you want me, I guess
Well,
there's more detail with.
yeah. So, well, I guess like weighing food and all that stuff all takes time.
Right,
Because priorities are they're so different, right? Like
right,
even like you have a lot more hurdles with Gen Pop. So
right.
hurdles tend to come almost like I would almost say sometimes like on a daily basis for some Gen Pop people, where like there's a lot of factors that can really throw you off of your regimen, right? Like
Right.
a bad work day. Um, I guess this is more mindset really focused than time and commitment, but that's a
Okay.
good one though, like mindset, right?
Mhm.
So like bodybuilders tend to handle their handle their day, handle their week, handle their business, whatever, and not have it dictate what they how they approach their diet or how they approach their training. So
Right.
there's a separation. You're
Mhm.
able to kind of like roll with the punches, stress,
Right.
because most, well, all of our, I mean, none of my clients are just full time professional bodybuilders. They all
Mhm.
have regular
Regular
jobs,
lives. Yep.
regular lives. As most bodybuilders do, most people, especially
Right.
like natural bodybuilders, like you don't make your living from just straight bodybuilding.
No.
So everyone encounters stress and problems and just different whatever, like life.
Right.
Like life is just dilemma after dilemma. My fridge broke. So that's a good one for like Gen Pop. Like I know examples where like my fridge broke and that
Lost all my
deterred
food.
me
Yeah.
from my fitness. I wasn't able to work out for the next 3 days. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not like uh talking down on that. Yeah, this is just I'm telling you like that is how it goes. Like
Hmm.
people are susceptible.
Oh yeah.
Whether that's an excuse to not do something or whether that's legitimate, um it's hard to sometimes when I'm coaching I have to go, okay, I need to not be, if I'm a body, it's coaching a bodybuilder, it's like this is what you do, blah blah blah. um Coaching Gen Pop and coaching lifestyle, you have to put yourself in their shoes.
Right. You
I mean, you
do.
have to put yourself in everyone's shoes, but you have to think this person is not stepping on stage. We don't have a deadline.
No.
We don't have you know a need for major urgency, and their priorities are not looking like Mr. Olympia or Miss whatever. Their priority is like they're just trying to get through the day. And sometimes I used to get really hard on myself for not getting certain people to where I thought I wanted them to be. I'm like, they should be much further with their physique right now. But
Right.
I had to kind of take a step back and look, because you know how it is when you're a coach. If you're really passionate about what you do and you really are in this for the right reasons, your like your overall like purpose is like, I want to get them to their goal, and I want them to feel their best and look their best and just be their best. And I want to do everything in my power outside of, and I've said this to people, outside of coming to your house and here comes the airplane, like feeding them and putting them through the reps. I will do every single thing. You got to go to a restaurant. I'm going to pull up that menu with you ahead of time. We're going to go through that. I'm going to find, fuck, I don't even care if you want to eat a full on cheat meal. I'm going to help you do that. Like you can eat whatever you want. You just got to let me know and I got your back. I'm going to get you there. We're going to do this together because you could do that. Like there are ways to, eat whatever you want. There's nothing that you can't do if you're willing to work with me on this. So let's be a team. Yeah. And I used to get really not upset, but I used to be like, why? Like, why is this not working? Like, why can't, why can't they follow through on this? And so I then realized, wait a minute. Like, where would they be if we weren't working together? Like, what would that look like? And it would not be good. It would be, because I mean, how often do you have a lifestyle client? Which a lot of my clients are referrals and returning clients. So people that I work with, people, they'll disappear for a year, 2 years, and they'll come back. And that's like, that means a lot because I guarantee you they've researched the internet, maybe even tried other coaches and stuff like that, or trainers or whatever, and they've returned. And so that means a lot. But I've thought for the ones that don't progress at the rate that I would like to see them progressing, I think, where would they be without us working together? And a lot of times clients will disappear and they'll gain, I've seen some quite a bit of fat and come back and I'm always welcome them back with open arms. I always create like a judgment-free zone with my clients. So like I like that we're able to like, I think it's good to take that wall down and to let them know like, hey, like we're a team. Like I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you. And I don't judge you when things don't go as planned. You just need to be open with me and tell me so I can, the more clued in and symbiotic we are, the better job I can do of tailoring things to get them where we both want them to be. Because the better they are, the better we all are. So
exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
But you know what I mean though? Like where you're like, why are they not where I think they should be? And then they it would be a million times worse if they didn't have a coach.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of seeing like the best that they can do with their given circumstances is definitely huge. I mean, I have a lot of I have a bunch of returning clients as well from my prior business, and they like it's an honor because they definitely have entrusted me in helping them and getting them where they want to be. And man, there's one thing I love too is that I mean, and regardless, I'm always as well open arms to help anyone come back. But like I was just on the phone with a client yesterday, getting him back up and started again. They're like, I want to let you know, I haven't gained all that weight back. Like I've kept it off of what you taught me. And I'm like, and that's awesome. Like that's seeing that like that autonomy build up with clients is huge because it shows me that they have that like potential to just continue to do really well and continue to be better and continue to improve on where they want to be most importantly. So I always say it a lot, but like it's like the long game. Like like what looks good for them long term, what maybe not even a year, maybe not 2 years, but like what looks good for them for the rest of their life that they can stick to, that they can
Yeah.
sustain, and I mean, and what they are going to, what they can hang on to, and just make them a
Yeah.
better, healthier, physically, mentally better version of themselves. Like I love, like that's dude, that gets me going.
Yeah, no, like that's you can tell when someone's really into it because they tend to when people talk about the things that they like truly enjoy, they tend to open up. Their body opens up a little bit. They have a smile, even their skin tone changes. You can it's super obvious when you talk to someone and they're actually passionate about something
Right.
where they're just phoning it in or just doing it for the wrong reasons. It's totally different. And I do think, especially one thing. So one thing I've been thinking about, this is way off topic. I'll segue us back here in a second, is I was thinking about because I had a client send me a video. He's like, what do you think about this? And it was like AI doing something. I don't know if it was AI coaching or AI scanning or whatever. And I do think that um, AI is going to replace some coaches.
I highly
I
believe that too.
100 I do think that AI is going to replace some coaches. And I think that if you're not valuable or you don't provide you know, some if you're not a good coach, I mean it could be a good thing because maybe the good coach, it might wipe
Whittled out
out
the
some of
bad.
the yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. Which I mean, it's scary like to think about that, but then it's also there is also that other side where it's kind of like, oh, well, it might actually replace some of the bad coaches. It's a very saturated industry.
Field.
Sometimes it's hard to think, like, or not hard to think, but it's wild to think about how vast the fitness industry really
It,
is. Like
it's crazy.
like we were talking like before we jumped on. I don't really consume a lot of fitness content. It's just
Mhm.
not I'm so inundated with fitness and when you make fitness your career and it's like by the time you train, by the time you're eating your meals, all that stuff, your client check-ins, you kind of don't really want to think about fitness anymore. Like when you're making your food or laying down at night. So I consume all kind of different content not related to fitness,
Yeah.
but the thing about fitness, you know, if you focus on the industry, it's huge. It's huge. And
It's
it's
massive.
it's overwhelming if I'm, I remember when I got into it like back in the day when Instagram and all that it wasn't mainstream. And yeah, I can't imagine getting into it now. It would be as a young adult, I wouldn't know where to look. Like
It'd be
where do
so,
you look for information?
yeah, it'd
Too
be so
much.
like overwhelming where to start. Like it just, oh, I can't imagine. Like I got into like 11, 12 years ago, and I'm like, I can't imagine starting any later than that.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
because there's less resources. I mean, there's just like so many people you could turn to. I mean, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy, man. There's so much to it.
Right. So okay, so I'm looking at the wine bottles behind you. So I don't
Yeah,
drink, but I know that you do drink. So how do you handle I think alcohol is like that's like a huge one
yeah,
like most what's crazy is how much of life, like social life, revolves around food and alcohol. So how do you
yeah.
handle alcohol? How do you recommend your clients handle alcohol? What's your approach with that?
So I send them a sheet, like options they can use, like of tracking it, methods to account for it, like whether it's carbs, proteins, or fats. But I recommend if you're gonna go with any of them, I would do like track those carbs because
Yeah, do the calorie conversion.
yeah. So yeah, just if like a glass of wine's like 5 ounces, it's like 125 calories. I don't know, 31 carb. Like, I just got
Yeah,
that
and
stuff out of
they're
my
like
head.
they'll like look at the alcohol and they're like, "Oh my god, there's only 4
Yep.
carbs in this, but there's
Yeah.
180 calories." So you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
the alcohol does contain calories, so you have to
Yes.
account for that."
Right. It's got to go towards something in your day-to-day nutrition to account for it. And
Yeah.
so I like to push carbs just because it's like
Yeah, same.
that necessary. I mean, to pull from, I don't want to pull from protein or fats. So I recommend carbs, but I'm like, if you're in an absolute pinch and you have to do this for tonight, like this is another option. So I like to do that. And I typically tell them it's like, hey, like a lot of what, my personal experience on top of what, has been stated before in certain research studies, like it's like probably going past 4 is going to do more harm than good. So just try to moderate within a few if you can. It's
Did you say
totally up to
past
you.
4?
Yeah, usually what I've
I
kind
think
of
you
been
have
seeing,
a thing with the number 4. You have
I
4
do
Splendas.
fours. It's the
That's either your
rule of fours.
that's your lucky number right there, 4.
You have to start an information
I need you to take
e-guide.
4 scoops of
Yeah.
pre-workout before your workout.
Call 911 4 times when you're overdosed on caffeine. But
91111. Call
9111,
911.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely before yeah, so I try like just like I think not I always say do what you want. It's totally up to you. But this is just what I think. It's just like I think 4 could be, we're gonna make a team effort decision on here, and I think 4 is usually a good number to hit. But yeah, that's typically what I kind of leave it as simple as I can. And then there's this one thing I like you go to a brewery or something and you have like a, a type of beer, or you go to a winery or a type of wine and it's like a hazy IPA. It's like, we're like, what do I do there, coach? Like there's no calories on this. It's like I'm like, all right, let me walk through real quick and show you what I usually do. And I usually I go on my Safari on my iPhone and type in calories on like most hazy IPAs, look up a general broad estimate, and I'm like, there you go. I'm like, that's typically what I like to do. I keep a system in place just so I have some way to account for it. Um, but yeah,
Simple is good
typically,
too, right? Like keeping things
yeah.
simple. Like even if it's like an estimation, they're like, oh, I can't find this burger or I can't find this
Mhm.
donut from this, unique donut shop. Well, kind of looking for something comparable, like,
Yes.
and just plugging that in and kind of working your way around something comparable
Right.
to whatever they're adding in. And it doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you're in a general pop context. It doesn't need to be the exact thing to be effective.
Exactly. Right. And that's what I mean. Making your best efforts. It's just like that's what it comes down to. Keeping it simple, but doing your best. And I think that's like a good, rule of flexibility rather than trying to be perfect. And I'm not gonna have that because I can't find it. I don't want to instill that mindset at all. I'm like,
Well,
no,
it
like
doesn't
that's
work,
not
right? Like that
right. Too
restriction
restrictive.
doesn't work. It has a shelf life.
Yes. Oh, for
Uh,
sure. For sure.
yeah. And I do think people, even so, like prep, do you have alcohol during prep or do you remove alcohol altogether or do you just
I,
factor it in your macros?
I'll be honest with you, like to a point I did. Like I had like one or two, maybe.
Like
Like
one or two
one
a week, 1 or 2 a month,
a week.
1 or 2 a week.
Yeah. And one or two every other week, I'd say.
Okay.
And then it went from like 6, 8 weeks out whenever recovery was like so hit. I was like, I don't want to mess with it.
And even
Um,
probably at some point, you're just not going to want to spend those carbs on alcohol.
no, oh
Even
no,
if it's your high carb day, you're going to be like, I could
yeah,
have a glass of insert whatever alcohol,
insert, yeah,
or I could have an extra 30 carbs of fucking
no
bread,
intra
like
workout or
what
bread, yeah,
vegetables, whatever. Like
low calorie bread.
your low calorie bread. Like at some point, you're just like, I'm not like at another kind of how I was talking about like things that I noticed that I do during prep is there is a point in prep where post work like liquid carbs that's just not a thing in my world like like dextrose or cluster dextrin within the workout like at some point when you're when you're at 90 carbs, you just can't justify putting those carbs in liquid form.
It's
Satiety
not
becomes
realistic.
more of a priority. So
100%.
yeah, so I think organically, even if a bodybuilder does decide to incorporate alcohol, at some point it won't even take, it won't take any restrict any what is the word I'm looking for? Any force on it. Won't be forced for them to take the alcohol out of the equation. They're organically going to do it because they're just going to want to take those calories and put it towards whole foods.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. And you'll definitely feel it too. It's like it's at a point where you're making so much effort to put it in life, factor it in your lifestyle. And
Well, dude, I honestly think we could probably go on. I'm sure we've talked about five, but I feel like we could go on about this topic for a long time. And I do think that we touched up on some things that a lot of, my goal with this discussion or just any discussion is I want to talk about like real life experiences and
yeah,
things that are practical and relatable,
correct.
because everyone does have a different approach. Everyone's
Hmm.
different. Everyone's goals are different. Goals, timelines, priorities. Like you said, like you're a bodybuilder, but I'm sure you're, the family member that you're coaching, the approach that you take with them is going to be completely different. And so
Right.
I just wanted to jump on here and have an open discussion
Yeah.
about the topic. And I do think that there were some things that we touched on that were extremely valuable. So I think if we keep going, this podcast will last forever. But um, I want to thank you for coming on. Now,
Thank you.
Mike and I are part of the same coaching team, Unrivaled. So I'm going to link our link right here where you can apply for coaching. We're always happy to welcome any. We have a growing team. I'm really happy with how things are going with the team, man.
Me too.
Everyone's really crushing it. It seems like we're growing week by week. I'm really excited to see what we do over the coming months because um, New Year's is not far away, and we know how that goes with Gen Pop. So I'm excited to have Gen Pop on board. I'm excited to get the show season will be coming to an end.
Right.
But everyone is getting ready for next year because the time to get ready for next year is right now. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited, about the way things are going with the team. And I am going to link all of that information here. But dude, is there anything you want to promote? Is there anything you got going on? How about your Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at Snyder Aesthetics. And I'll kind of, I'll send you a spelling for the link
Yeah,
in
I'm
there,
gonna
but
put
yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
up there
Well,
right
I mean,
now.
we
I got
follow each other. I mean, so I
Yeah,
guess that's
I got your handle up here right now for everyone.
yeah, and yeah, definitely check us out on Rival Coaches. Each and every one of the coaches that I work with, like, do amazing work, and we just have a solid team here, and I
We
definitely think
really
we're gonna,
do, man.
yeah,
I am really proud of the team that we have. I'm really excited to see where things go over the next, few years.
me too. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where and just leave a really good impact on the industry from all of us. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So you can find us at unrivaledcoaches.com, and definitely we'd be happy to help anyone that's looking to better themselves, man. So
We don't discriminate. Whatever your fitness goal is, if you want to compete, lifestyle, like you said, we can get it done no matter what your lifestyle is. We can help you um, have cheat meals, do whatever you need to do, all the normal stuff, like all the
yep,
normal stuff that people do. That's stuff that we can help you with. And,
yep,
we can make fitness complement your lifestyle rather than be a drag. I always feel bad when people look at fitness as a drag because it really is something that should add to your life, make your life better. I mean, if you're a better you, like if you're if you feel better, if you're more confident, if you look better, when you walk, you're a better version of yourself. So you're better for the people around you. You're a better dad. You're a better boss. You're a better employee. You're a better partner. There's nothing negative that can come from you being a better you. So
Yeah.
I think we both can agree that we're very passionate about helping people, create a sustainable lifestyle, whatever that lifestyle is, and we tailor that to each person, because each person's version of fitness is very different.
You're exactly right, man. Just letting it translate in their life is key. So, but
All right, Mike,
yeah,
we'll wrap it up here. We may have to do a part two again some other time.
I would love that, man. Most definitely. It was a pleasure talking, and thank you most importantly for having me on. Definitely, it's an honor.
Awesome, man. All right, we'll talk soon.